There was quite the clash on CNBC. I want to play this for you, where CNBC's Joe Kernan, who has gone very much in a MAGA direction, got upset with Anthony Scaramucci. Anthony Scaramucci being the person who worked very briefly in the Trump White House and has since spoken out against Trump, warning of the threat that Trump is. And now that Trump has won, you have this thing that a lot of MAGA folks are doing. Piers Morgan's doing it a lot. I'll show you that. And many others, which is going to people who don't support Trump, didn't vote for Trump, and going, do you apologize now? Do you admit that you don't actually believe the things you're saying? What? It's very confusing. You're going to see it play out here. Just because a bunch of people got duped into voting for an extremely dangerous person doesn't mean he's not dangerous. I don't understand what the argument is. And while you're watching this, please remember to click the subscribe button if you do want to support the growth of the show. Free, it's not paid membership like our membership program. And you can do it just by clicking that YouTube subscribe button. Here's this exchange.
The rhetoric got heated everywhere. You got pretty heated, Anthony, at times.
Look, Joe, how did I get heated? What did I say, Joe?
About Trump?
Yeah, what did I say? I said I repeated what he was saying. And I said this is wrong.
Anthony,
come on, Joe.
you have had an utter disdain for Trump. You'll always be welcome at the table of legacy media and have people nodding as you trash Trump. That's always going to happen. But aren't you the slightest bit embarrassed or at least humbled about how wrong you were about
Joe,
the feeling of most Americans, let me finish, and for enthusiastically supporting a candidate who a majority of people thought had no business being anywhere near the Oval Office? And you're a Republican, and you saw all the different policies that she was talking about are anathema to what you thought your whole life, and yet you went along with it. Do you ever eat any crow, or not even a little crow
Joe,
wing,
really
like a little cape on? Or you just,
Joe.
I mean, Michael Avenatti could still be on TV trashing Trump. You'll always find a place on TV. If he wasn't in prison, he'd still be on CNN running for president with Brian Stelter. Just give me a little bit, Anthony, about how wrong you were.
Joe, first of all, I immediately put out a congratulatory tweet. They won.
Sorry, while we play more of this, or before we do, of Anthony Scaramucci's response, I don't understand what that argument is. Are you saying then that you and everyone who voted against Biden whenever he won in 2020 have to admit that they were wrong about all the arguments they made against Biden because he won, so everything must be correct about him? No, you didn't do that. Actually, a bunch of people that you now are very supportive of just lied the entire time. We're not lying about the results. Y'all did. You still do. So I don't understand what this principle is that people are espousing. Here's more.
We lost, in the immortal words of Barry Diller, when he lost a Paramount deal. Next, Joe, what would you like me to do? Do you want me to get on bended knee before you?
No, I thought you were going to start that it's going to...
That's not even what America is about, Joe. We have a violent disagreement about lots of things related to Trump's personality. You like Trump. I was up close to Trump. I got to see the ugliest of what he is. And by the way, Joe, it's not just me. There were 40 of us that worked for the president that warned people. So
I think he's been very good for you. I think he's been very good for your career, Anthony. I think he's been incredibly good. You're here, are you not? And you're going to be welcome anywhere you want to go. I think he's been very good for you. And you'll be able to live off this for another 4 years.
Joe, why don't you calm down? Why don't you calm down a second, Joe? We know each other a long time. Are you saying that you and I can't disagree on somebody's personality? Is that what you're saying? And you're saying what I'm saying in terms of identifying those.
He goes completely silent. Wait, that was weird. He asked him a question. He just goes silent
for another 4 years.
Joe, why don't you calm down? Why don't you calm down a second, Joe? We know each other a long time. Are you saying that you and I can't disagree on somebody's personality? Is that what you're saying? And you're saying what,
all right, got it, Joe.
But I'm saying in terms of identifying those features and traits of the personality, you don't see those too, but you're choosing to ignore them?
I guess 75 million people looked at everything you looked at.
81 million people voted for Biden. So what does the argument mean then? Back when 2020, did you say 81? So we can never be wrong about Biden about anything because 81 million people voted for him? No, of course not. You still have to argue. Do you know how many people voted for bad leaders throughout history? Hundreds of millions. You add up all the terrible, horrific, fascistic authoritarians throughout history, the worst leaders we've ever had, hundreds of millions of people voted for them. But they all must be good. They all must be perfect. We all need to eat crows. We were all wrong because people voted. No, the people who voted for Trump are wrong. They're wrong. Their vote was wrong. They made a bad choice.
Don't see those two, but you're choosing to ignore them?
I guess 75 million people looked at everything you looked at and decided that there were other things that...
But there were 67 million people that didn't, Joe. That's what makes America, Joe. That's what makes America, Joe. But you're saying to me that stuff that I was saying wasn't factually true. If somebody's saying they're going to use the American military to go after their political adversaries, and I say, geez, that sounds very un-American to somebody like me.
Is that what he said, Vivek? Oh, no. Is that what he's going to do?
Of course he said it.
So let me see if I can
we'll go to the
be
tape.
helpful here for a second, guys. Let me just take a moment to say this.
All right, let me go ahead and figure everything out for everybody. All right, let me. I'm Vivek. Come on, let me figure this out. I got it. He's so smug. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Do you remember earlier when I said I wasn't going to rant today? I failed. I'm sorry. I failed. I'm only human. Then Piers Morgan posed the same thing to Destiny.
Do you have a moment of self-awareness where you just go in the mirror, wow, I was so wrong?
Do you think that the Republicans had a moment of self-awareness in 2020? I look at the figures as they come in. I try to analyze what the public is. But this idea that like the Democratic Party needs to do some huge soul searching after the Republicans, tried to coup their way back into office when they lost the last election. Nah, I think that's ridiculous. I think the double standard is ridiculous. I think that the passes that you guys give Trump are absolutely insane. I think at the end of the day, it's just voting on your general economic trends. The only tragic thing is that because the economy has been righted in such a positive way, and nobody knows it because nobody talks about it, but the United States is outperforming basically every other country in the world on metrics like inflation, on metrics like unemployment, on metrics like real wages. Now that the ship has been righted, we're in a situation again where thankfully a Republican can come in after a Democrat has, I complained about this before on your show, after a Democrat has righted the ship after an economic catastrophe. Trump did it after Obama, and now Trump is going to do it again after Biden, and now he can try to take credit for all the things that he wasn't able to do in his administration, right? He couldn't pass infrastructure. Biden did. Now when stuff is getting built, he's going to take credit for it. He couldn't bring manufacturing like chips back to the United States when he tried to tariff China. Biden did with the CHIPS Act. Now Trump could take credit for it as that stuff gets built. So, the cycle of politics continues.
It's... I don't know. How are people missing this? It just basic data points. Economic disaster happened. Obama oversaw, wasn't solely responsible for, but oversaw a recovery. A bunch of problems had been fixed. Handed a stronger economic situation to Trump. Trump takes credit for it. Mismanages a crisis. Hands a total debacle to Biden-Harris. Biden-Harris fix up the problems. Recovery. Hand a really strong economy to Trump. And right when Trump's inaugurated, Republicans will all of a sudden go, oh my gosh, this economy is really good. Trump fixed things fast. In between walking from the podium where he delivers his inauguration speech to the Oval Office, he fixed it up. We love these metrics now. We're not going to let him do it. We're going to scream from the rooftops, as I said, because we will know what's coming. They don't get to take credit for all the infrastructure investments that will be happening over the coming years. Like was mentioned there, the Chips and Science Act, all these different decades-long projects that were started under Biden-Harris, they don't get to take credit for, and we're not going to let them. But many people will fall for it, and it's ridiculous. But, again, the question from Piers Morgan is, so I guess that 74 million people voted for Trump just means that all of your arguments were wrong. I'm not going to cite any specific examples because it always triggers MAGA. But go find your least favorite leader in history, the one that you think did the worst things, and see if people supported them. Even if they didn't have majority support, often a lot of people support bad things. And what was also mentioned there was general economic trends and how those trends impact voting decisions made a lot of people vote for things that probably, if they were fully informed, they wouldn't have done. And we're going to, again, take what Trump hands us and make it better because we love people and we want the best for them. But it's going to be brutal. It really is. Let me know what you thought in the comments.